And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel. Today we're talking about Azul Queen's Garden. One of the most successful games in modern board gaming history is Azul, selling millions of copies, very popular tile-laying game, followed up by two not as popular, but good sequels. This is number 4, Azul's Queen's Garden. Tokyo Drift, or whatever. It's the newest one in this series. I'll tell you right now, it is the thinkiest one in this series. It diverges from Azul the most, and here instead of having squares or diamonds, it's now hexagons. It is about scoring points by building groups, and yeah, it has a very different feel. There's some of the mechanisms from Azul crossover, but I can't say you like Azul, you'll like this, or you like this, you'll like Azul. Let's talk a little bit about how it plays first, and we'll be back. Let's talk about scoring before we do anything else. As the game goes by, you're going to be making groups of tiles, and tiles are going to come in different colors and in different numbers. Instead of a number being written on a tile, there's a number of things. Like this shows 3 butterflies, so that's 3. This is 6 flowers. A bird has wings of 2. And so this is a group of purples, and here's a group of butterflies. A group can't have more than one of the same number and all be the same color, or is all the same number but different colors. So those are the groups you're building, and they're going to score you points at the end of the game. And it has to be at least 3. So I might need to get this bird here. So a group of 3 is going to score me points at the end of the game, basically equal to the numbers. I'll add up all the numbers for those points, and the numbers again are listed right here next to the board. And if you get a group that's 6 or more, you're going to get 6 bonus points. All of this is pointed out on the main player board here, where at the end of the game you go through and score all the colors, all the shapes, and then if you have at least 6 in a group, you get 6 bonus points. During the game, after each round, you're going to score points for things that are on your board. So after the first round, dark green and blue are going to score you a point, and trees will score you a point. Then this rotates, and after the second round, those will score 1 or 2 points, and so on and so forth. And then you can also lose some points on or during the game, so leftover tiles that you have will lose you points. But let's talk about how the game plays. In each round of the game, there is a stack of tiles, and you're going to pull 4 random tiles and put them on top of this stack. Each player is going to have 2 player boards, one here, which has this board placed in the middle. You also will have another spot to keep track of your tiles that you get over the course of the game, along with 3 wild tiles. On a player's turn, they can take a tile, they can place a tile or garden expansion, or you can pass. The first person to pass will go first in the next round, although they'll lose a point when they do so. When taking tiles, you can take all the tiles that are the same color but with different numbers on them, or all with the same number but with different colors. So let's say, for example, I'm like, hey, I'm going to take these 2 blue tiles. When you take anything off the top of the stack, then this is placed next to the stack, and you're going to draw 4 more tiles and put them on top of this. So maybe the next player says, hey, I'll take trees. So they take this, this, and this. And again, at least one of the things they took was off the top of the stack. So this one comes down to the side, and we place 4 more tiles on top of this. Let's say I pick birds. I can't take both of these because they're the same color, but I could take this one, and this one. Now that this tile is gone here, I'm going to flip it over. This is a garden tile, and this is something else that people can acquire. It's easiest to think about these tiles. This one here has 5 spaces to place tiles, but also shows this light blue tree here. It's almost easy to think of this whole tile as a light blue tree, because let's say on my next turn I say I'm going to take light blue. I can take this, this, and this. Now as you take stuff, you're going to be placing it down here. So you have room for 2 garden tiles, and you have room for 12 different tiles. So eventually, before you take more tiles, you're going to have to play some tiles onto the board. When you play tiles on the board, there has to be a space for them, and so everyone starts with 5 spaces here. Although if you get more garden tiles out on your board, you'll have more spaces to play. And if you're ever desperate, you can always, there's some leftover tiles up here, and you can take one of these, and it's 6 more spaces, but you also lose 6 points. That's what this token means when you do that. When you place a tile on your board, you have to pay the cost of it. Each cost is equal to the number of the tile. So again, if I'm placing this garden tile, it's as if this was this tree, which has a cost of 1. If I place this bird tile next to it later on, that would have a cost for 2. Now, when you pay, the tile that you place counts as part of the payment. So this tree goes out for free. But this one, I would need to discard and pay for it. So when you pay for it, you have to pay the same pattern but different colors, or the same color and different patterns. And you're going to be throwing them into this tower here, and they have to come from your supply. So if I play that bird, I might say I'm going to discard 1 blue and throw it into the tower. And that's what these wilds are used for, because you can always use wilds to pay for pretty much anything. So this is going to continue on as players are attempting to make groups, and eventually everyone's going to have to pass. You'll bring a new stack of tiles in. If you ever completely surround one of these objects on the board, so here I surrounded a park bench, you get more wild tiles. It shows you right here. If you surround that central fountain, you get 1 and 2 for that bench I just surrounded, and 3 if you surround a gazebo. So that's another way to get the wild tiles to be able to play things. That's pretty much it. I've already explained how the scoring works at the end of the game. Whoever has the most points is the winner. I have a few issues with the components of this game. Now, I like the tiles. They're very nice, they're very chunky, they're like Azul tiles. I do not understand particularly why there's dark purple, light green, and dark green, because that can be a little confusing sometimes. Also, the fact that a tree is 1 and the flower here is 4, that seems cool, but I'm glad they have these charts here. These boards, by the way, are pretty thin, and I really dislike these wild tiles. Why is wild gray and dull, and it's like a plastic? It feels like a 3D printed piece. I also think it's hilarious how in the middle here, there's this spinning mechanism. Woo! But it says, in round 1, we're going to score these. In round 2, we're going to score these. You know what? I know that. You could have just listed them. Why does the thing need to spin? It's not like it spins 1 click at a time, changing how things score. But no, you could have just written a 1, these things score, or 2. But, you know, I guess it's not that big of a deal. I just found it to be a little odd. The rest of it's fine. Nice big bag. Like I said, the tiles are great. You throw them into this tower. If you run out of tiles, you empty the tower and put more things out. The rules are written pretty clearly. Yeah, so for the most part, it's pretty good. I just had a few issues with it. So yeah, when you see this and you play it, it's not very Azulish, for lack of a better term. And there's good and bad for that, right? I don't need the same game regurgitated over and over again. But when you pick the tiles and you're picking a bunch of the same type from this, as that stack comes down and the actual garden tiles are a tile as you take them, it just doesn't have that. In Azul, you're grabbing stuff and it's fast and furious, and oh no, I'm forced to take a bunch of stuff I don't want. Here you can take stuff you don't want, get negative points for maybe taking too many tiles, but that's not the point of this game. The point of this game is getting the colors you need so you can pay to get these things even on the board. Now, there's a lot of similarities between this and the last one, the Summer Garden game of Azul. There's some similarities on how this one works. But this one actually also reminds me of a game called Quirkle, where you're trying to build rows of all the same color, but different shapes, or all the same shape and different colors. The thing is, this game, while I compared it to Quirkle and I compared it to Azul Summer Garden, it's very, very much of a thinkier game. This game is going to be consistently, as far as I can tell, bogged down in pretty much complete silence. Because you're sitting there, you're thinking, okay, I need to take this tile. I'm going to pay for this. I'm going to put this one here. And getting those 6s out are very expensive and very difficult to do. So do I even bother trying to do that? Or do I use those to pay for other things? And taking these tiles. So you have this really thinkiness part of this. And then you have a bunch of randomness thrown in because that's Azul. You don't know what tiles are coming from the bag. You might be looking for a specific tile, and those the back sides of the garden tiles, you might be looking for one of those specifically. And I found that I was thinking so hard about the game, I kind of forgot to have fun. And I didn't dislike Azul Queen's Garden, but I felt that the brain-burning part of it feels like it belongs in a different game. It's not that I don't want strategy in games. I like strategy. But you spend so much time taking this tile and going, okay, which tiles am I going to take? Usually when I play Azul, there's a little bit of thought here. I'll take the blue tiles, I'll take the orange tiles. Here you're sitting there going, okay, I want blue tiles, or do I want butterflies? And this game kind of grinds to a halt. Now it says here in the box it's 45 to 60 minutes. That's not particularly wrong. I think it would lean more towards 60 minutes, but it feels like a slow 60 minutes. I don't think 60 minutes is particularly long for a game, but there's just that kind of effort and thinking that I would be very cautious to say, hey, you like Azul? Try this. It really feels like a different game that has some crossover in mechanisms. I think some people are going to say this is the best of the series. I think most people won't. Most people, as when I poll people, still like the first one the best. I tend to like the Stained Glass of Sintra. That's my favorite. But it feels like there's a lot more interaction here. Here the interaction is, I sit there and go, please don't take the tile I'm hoping to get. And you're not going to take it to spite me. You're going to take it because it's something you need. And since I don't know that those tiles will even be there by my turn, while you're thinking very hard about which tiles to pick, I'm just sitting there wishing very hard that you don't mess me over. And I can't make any real plans until it comes back to my turn. Also, the scoring for the different colors at different times feels like it's tacked on. Like at the very first round, you get points for having green and blue. So should you take those? Well, not really, because this game's about long-term strategy. You're not going to even get a lot of tiles out in the first round. So should you quick throw some of that to get a few points? I don't think you should. Then why are those points even there? I didn't like that part of the game at all, actually, getting points for just we're scoring some random colors this round. I know that's part of the Azul framework, but it didn't seem to fit into this game as much. It's all about that end game scoring. If you manage to get 6 5s together, that's a lot of points that you're getting, plus those 6 bonus points. And all those little points you got throughout the game don't seem to matter as much. So this is coming across as a bit of a negative review, and you know what? It is a bit of a negative review. I think there's going to be people out there who go, this is fantastic. I can't wait to play the new Azul. But I want to warn you that if you like the previous 3, this one's a hard right. It's a little bit different than the other 3, and it's more involved. I also found this one to be a little clunkier to teach, because if you take a tile and it comes off the top one, then you take that stack down and put 4 more out. And then if all the tiles come off, it flips over. And then that garden tile is actually one of those tiles. And once you know it, you're like, oh yeah, obviously. But I felt this one doesn't feel intuitive to pick up and play. That could be me though. I'm sure a lot of people are enjoying this one. Maybe, like I said, I think some people are going to like it the best of the bunch. If I'm going to play a heavier game, I think I would rather play something that's not this, move into a different grouping. This one just was a weird intersection for me. So that's Azul Queen's Garden. I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching the Dice Tower. Dice Tower Judgment, too thinky for the payoff.